In a place designed to protect the powerful, the most dangerous secret was never meant to be found: the phone of a dead celebrity, hidden between floorboards, holding evidence that could expose the very people that building was meant to shield. The discovery did not begin with a dramatic raid or a planned investigation. It began with a routine maintenance check inside Skyview Heights, an elite residential tower in central Beijing where diplomats, industry magnates, and private clients with unlisted identities quietly moved through discreet entrances. The building was known for its unbreakable silence, its impeccable security, and its ability to erase any trace of whoever walked its polished marble floors. Yet on that particular afternoon, the silence cracked. A maintenance worker, assigned to inspect an empty unit, noticed a sliver of plastic wedged between two floorboards near the corner wall. It appeared unremarkable, a forgotten fragment left behind by a careless contractor. He reached for it without a second thought. The object felt cold, heavier than expected. Then, as if responding to the warmth of his hand, the screen flickered to life. A name appeared across the dimly glowing display. A name the entire country knew. A name that had been mourned for months. Yu Menglong, the rising star whose sudden death had left fans devastated and investigators unsatisfied. The artist whose final hours remained tangled in unanswered questions and deliberately vague statements. His phone was believed to have vanished the night he died, creating a blind spot in every timeline reconstructed by authorities and independent analysts. Now, inexplicably, it was here, in a luxury tower he was never known to visit, awakening inside a locked apartment where no one had checked in or out for days. The worker froze. The screen displayed a half-unlocked interface, interrupted messages, blurred thumbnails, and fragments of encrypted files that seemed to pulse with an eerie urgency. Within minutes, whispers spread through the building. Within hours, the story leaked beyond its walls. By nightfall, Beijing had erupted into a digital wildfire of questions, theories, and escalating shock. The entertainment world responded with immediate panic. Agencies scrambled behind closed doors. Legal advisors were summoned. Servers were quietly taken offline. Nothing about this discovery felt accidental. Nothing about it felt safe. Because if the phone was real, and every emerging detail suggested that it was, then it meant something, or someone, had placed it there deliberately. The question was not only who, but why now, and what truth the device carried that could destabilize reputations, expose hidden power structures, and reopen a death case that many believed had never been fully explained. The glamour surrounding Beijing's entertainment elite had always relied on carefully curated silence. Now, one unexpected flicker of light threatened to unravel it all. But behind the glamour and the excuses, what mechanisms are really driving this crisis? We will analyze every detail, from the initial mistakes to the irreversible damage, to see how the entertainment world works and how an icon is redefined. The shock of discovering Yu Menglong's phone did not emerge from chaos. It emerged from stillness. The apartment where the device was found had been empty for weeks, sealed in the kind of silence that luxury buildings often cultivate. Yet the moment the screen flickered to life, it became clear that the silence had never been empty at all. It had been hiding something. The question was what, and why the truth had chosen this moment to resurface. In the months following Yu Menglong's death, unanswered questions had collected like dust in locked corners. His passing was officially attributed to circumstances that many accepted publicly but quietly doubted. He was a rising figure, highly visible, highly marketable, and deeply entangled in the complex politics of the entertainment world. His sudden departure left a vacuum that felt too sharp, too abrupt, and too unresolved. For those who followed his final days, timelines had gaps, statements carried inconsistencies, and public explanations felt polished rather than transparent. The absence of his phone was the largest hole of all, a missing piece that prevented any full reconstruction of events. Its sudden reappearance at Skyview Heights revealed more than a misplaced device. It hinted at a hidden narrative that had not been part of any public report. Skyview Heights was not known as a place where young celebrities casually visited. It was an enclave shaped for diplomats, executives, and private figures who preferred secrecy over visibility. To many observers, the presence of Yu Menglong's phone in such a residence suggested proximity to individuals whose influence extended far beyond the entertainment world. It raised the possibility that his final days intersected with people or agendas far more powerful than anyone had realized. The worker who found the device described an almost instinctive discomfort, a sense that the object had been placed intentionally, not forgotten. The phone showed partial unlock screens, unfinished messages, and layers of encryption that seemed to guard conversations not meant to be overheard. There were references to meetings in restricted zones, vague mentions of contracts that did not match public records, and tense fragments of discussions that carried the rhythm of urgent negotiation. These details created the first outline of a deeper issue. Yu Menglong may have been navigating a situation larger than a personal dispute, something that required secrecy, caution, and a level of fear he had not expressed openly. Observers noted that the entertainment industry had always operated with invisible hierarchies. Agencies controlled narratives, investors controlled opportunities, and a shadow layer of influence controlled decisions that never reached public awareness. For a rising star to find himself entangled in this system was not unusual. What was unusual was the possibility that he had discovered something within it, something significant enough to document, encrypt, or attempt to reveal. This raised an essential question. Was he preparing to expose a truth that others were determined to suppress? Inside his agency, panic erupted the moment news of the phone spread. Executives scrambled to secure internal documents, suggesting that whatever Yu Menglong left behind had implications far beyond his personal life. Their urgency, described by insiders as uncontrolled and immediate, implied a fear not of rumor, but of verification. If the phone contained evidence that pointed toward powerful individuals, the consequences would not end with reputational damage. It could unravel relationships, reveal financial misconduct, or expose the presence of networks that relied on silence for survival. The root cause of the current crisis, therefore, was not only the discovery of the device. It was the idea that Yu Menglong may have been attempting to navigate or escape a situation that involved individuals whose authority extended into protected spaces like Skyview Heights. The reappearance of his phone illuminated the possibility that his final days were shaped by a conflict he could no longer manage alone. This conflict, now partially visible through encrypted fragments, suggested that his death may have intersected with interests that operated far beyond the public stage. What do you think about this? Comment Amen below so we can continue with the unfinished stories. The moment Yu Menglong's phone became public knowledge, the story transformed from a quiet discovery into a full-scale media eruption. Within minutes, hashtags referencing his name, the building, and the mysterious device climbed to the top of social platforms across China and beyond. The digital world, already familiar with the unresolved questions surrounding his death, latched onto the revelation with an intensity driven by shock, grief, and a collective hunger for clarity. What had once been speculation now felt like the first tangible crack in a sealed narrative. Online communities mobilized instantly. Fan forums, live stream channels, and real-time discussion boards turned into informal investigation hubs. Users pored over every leaked screenshot and mirrored file fragment, attempting to decode the meaning behind symbols, timestamps, and encrypted text. Some tracked geographic markers embedded in image data, while others cross-referenced dates mentioned in partial messages with known sightings and scheduled appearances from Yu Menglong's final weeks. What emerged was not a unified theory, but a rapid expansion of possibilities, each one more complex than the last. This digital frenzy collided with the entertainment industry's internal panic. Agencies accustomed to controlling narratives found themselves unprepared for a situation where information spread faster than any official statement could contain. Yu Menglong's management company reacted with immediate alarm. Executives gathered for an emergency meeting that reportedly lasted 12 hours. During this time, internal phones were confiscated. Email servers were scrubbed, and legal teams drafted multiple versions of public statements, unsure which angle would minimize damage. The frantic energy inside the agency contrasted sharply with the cold precision of the information fans were assembling online. What amplified the crisis even further was the sudden circulation of surveillance images from Skyview Heights. The footage showed a tall, hooded figure entering the tower several days before the phone was discovered. The figure appeared only once, captured on a single camera, and then vanished from all other angles. They were not seen using elevators, staircases, or public corridors, a detail that confounded both investigators and digital sleuths. For many, the absence of additional footage suggested not only deliberate movement, but access to areas not available to the general public. Parallel to the footage, new technical findings emerged. Digital analysts reported that the phone had been accessed remotely through a secure VPN linked to an apartment within the same complex. This access occurred shortly before the device appeared beneath the floorboards. The implication was unsettling. Someone with advanced technical knowledge had tampered with the phone, possibly wiping or altering data, and then left it strategically in a place where it would eventually be found. Whether this act was intended to reveal information or to mislead investigators remained a matter of debate. The media's storytelling accelerated with each revelation. News outlets dissected every available detail, often relying on the same public speculation circulating online. Commentators debated whether the phone's discovery pointed toward foul play, a desperate attempt at communication, or a deliberate staging meant to shift public focus. Some argued that the industry's rapid defensive response suggested deeper layers of vulnerability. Others warned that the narrative might be spiraling into fiction, fueled by emotional investment rather than factual clarity. Corporate sponsors and production studios associated with Yu Menglong began issuing cautious statements, acknowledging the public's concern while carefully avoiding any interpretation of the data leaks. Their silence, however measured, contributed to the perception that something significant was being obscured. Meanwhile, the online community intensified its efforts, producing timelines, schematic maps of the building, and digital recreations of message threads that had only been partially recovered. The investigation had effectively split into two competing paths: the official process led by authorities, and a massive, decentralized effort driven by fans who believed they could uncover the truth faster. At the center of this media storm, one fact became undeniable. The discovery of the phone had reignited national attention on Yu Menglong's death, transforming a fading tragedy into a revived mystery. Every new clue, verified or speculative, tightened the public's grip on the story. The avalanche was no longer contained. It had become a force reshaping reputations, challenging institutions, and constructing a new narrative that no agency, no matter how powerful, could fully control. The deeper investigators moved into the contents of Yu Menglong's phone, the more the narrative shifted from speculation to something far more disturbing. What had begun as fragmented rumors now evolved into a pattern of connections, hidden files, and encrypted communications that suggested an unseen network operating beneath the visible surface of Beijing's entertainment industry. Each new discovery intensified the crisis, drawing the public, investigators, and powerful institutions into a tightening circle of uncertainty. The most alarming breakthrough came from a hidden folder buried behind multiple layers of encryption. Digital forensic teams spent days attempting to penetrate it. When they finally accessed the partial contents, they uncovered a series of voice memos that did not resemble ordinary personal recordings. The tone of these memos, according to analysts, carried a tension that was impossible to ignore. Conversations appeared abruptly cut, as if interrupted. Background noises suggested unfamiliar environments, some echoing with the sterile acoustics of corporate hallways, others sounding like underground parking facilities. One memo stood out above all others. In a hurried, uneven voice, Yu Menglong said, "If this does not get out, someone will disappear. I have proof." The partial recovery of the message left more questions than answers. Proof of what? Disappear who? The void between the lines became the center of national speculation. Analysts could not determine whether he recorded the memo moments before danger escalated or whether it was part of a larger effort to document interactions he believed were unsafe. What remained clear was that he felt the urgency of a threat significant enough to preserve in encrypted form. Parallel to the voice recordings, investigators uncovered fragments of financial documents stored deep in the device's memory. These records pointed toward transactions that did not align with any known public projects or contracts. They involved transfers to shell companies registered in remote regions, payments to unidentified recipients, and references to settlements with no obvious explanation. The pattern suggested an intricate network of financial activity connected to individuals whose roles in the entertainment industry were not publicly defined. Some transactions linked indirectly to properties near Skyview Heights, a detail that reinforced the possibility that the building itself was a nexus of private dealings hidden from mainstream awareness. Online communities reacted with renewed intensity. Fan investigators created flowcharts illustrating the relationships between the anonymous recipients, shell corporations, and individuals rumored to hold influence behind the scenes. Others attempted to synchronize the timestamps of the financial transfers with Yu Menglong's personal schedule, identifying moments that overlapped with the encrypted messages. To these observers, the convergence of financial irregularities and cryptic communication suggested that he may have uncovered sensitive information involving powerful figures and internal conflicts within the industry. Theories expanded rapidly. Many pointed toward the concept of a shadow network, a group of high-profile individuals who operated discreetly across entertainment, real estate, and political circles. The idea gained traction due to three recurring elements found in the decrypted files: references to restricted meeting locations, patterns of concealed financial transfers, and the presence of the hooded figure caught briefly on surveillance footage. For many, these elements did not appear to be isolated coincidences. They were pieces of a broader structure that existed beneath the official operations of the entertainment world. Inside the agency, fear shifted into full-scale crisis management. Reports described senior executives deleting internal emails, shredding documents, and debating legal strategies to prevent potential leaks. PR teams attempted to craft messages that would reassure fans and investors, but their controlled tone contrasted sharply with the unpredictable spread of public theories. Officials understood that the contents of the phone, if fully revealed, could alter public understanding of the industry's power dynamics and disrupt relationships that had operated quietly for years. Meanwhile, social media platforms transformed into competitive investigative arenas. Users reconstructed sections of the damaged voice memos using artificial intelligence tools, attempting to fill missing phrases. Others tracked metadata trails and analyzed every inconsistency in the released information. The speed and scale of this public involvement created a race between official investigators, who sought verified evidence, and digital sleuths, who pursued answers with unprecedented tenacity. By the time authorities announced the continuation of their inquiry, one truth had become unavoidable. The phone did not merely contain personal data. It carried fragments of a story that touched multiple layers of influence and secrecy. Every discovery illuminated more shadows, not fewer, suggesting that the circumstances surrounding Yu Menglong's final days were far more intricate than anyone had dared to imagine. The discovery of Yu Menglong's phone did more than revive an unresolved tragedy. It reshaped the contours of an industry that had long relied on silence, hierarchy, and the quiet circulation of influence. In the days that followed the first leaked screenshots, Beijing's entertainment sphere found itself at a crossroads. Every agency, investor, and public figure connected to the unfolding story felt the weight of uncertainty. The phone had not yet revealed its complete truth, but it had revealed enough to unsettle the foundations of systems that had remained untouched for years. Authorities deepened their investigation, acknowledging that the device contained encrypted voice memos, fragmented financial records, and partial communications that warranted formal inquiry. Officials emphasized the need for verified evidence. Yet they also admitted that the public's involvement had accelerated awareness of details that might otherwise have remained hidden. Forensic teams continued to reconstruct damaged files, mapping connections between unnamed individuals and unexplained financial routes. Their progress was deliberate, cautious, and shaped by the recognition that each revelation could spark new shockwaves. Meanwhile, the entertainment industry began confronting an uncomfortable truth. The glamour associated with fame had always rested upon an unspoken architecture of management, sponsorship, and negotiation. Yet the phone suggested that another architecture existed beneath it, one defined by undisclosed meetings, confidential agreements, and transactions that bypassed traditional oversight. Executives who once operated with quiet certainty now faced the possibility that their decisions would be subjected to public scrutiny unlike anything they had encountered before. For fans, the emotional landscape shifted as well. The grief surrounding Yu Menglong's death resurfaced, but this time it merged with a renewed determination to understand the circumstances he may have faced. Communities who had once celebrated his performances now examined his encrypted messages, not out of voyeurism, but out of a desire to honor the truth he might have been trying to preserve. Many expressed the sentiment that if he had attempted to reveal something important, then uncovering that truth was a final act of respect. On social platforms, debates expanded into philosophical reflections about the fragility of public personas and the unseen pressures endured by rising stars. Commentators questioned how many other individuals had navigated similar dangers without leaving behind digital traces. They discussed the vulnerability that emerges when personal ambition intersects with powerful structures that prioritize silence over transparency. Yu Menglong's story, initially framed as a singular tragedy, evolved into a broader conversation about the boundaries of control within industries built on visibility. Looking ahead, analysts predicted that the investigation would extend far beyond the initial discovery. The encrypted memos would continue to be examined, the financial fragments would be traced, and the figure captured briefly on camera would remain a central mystery. Some believed the truth would emerge in stages, shaped by both official efforts and the persistent work of independent observers. Others argued that the phone's contents might reveal only part of a larger, more complex reality. What remained certain was that the story had irrevocably changed the way the public viewed the entertainment world. The perfect images projected on screens were now understood to be only the surface, supported by layers of negotiation, influence, and hidden tension. Yu Menglong's phone had become a symbolic artifact, a reminder that even within environments designed to conceal the truth, a single flicker of light could expose the most carefully guarded secrets. In the end, the question that lingered was simple yet profound. If this device had the power to challenge an entire system, what else might still be hidden beneath the floorboards of industries built on silence? What do you think truly happened behind those encrypted messages? Comment below so we can uncover the rest of this story together.